Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to chemistry for class 9th, and this is lesson for week 7. We are going to continue in this week with chapter number 5, the last part, that is about solid state and its properties. The subtopics included for this lesson are melting and freezing point, determination of melting point, sublimation, types of solids, allotropes, comparison of physical states of matter. Objectives of the lesson are: by the end of this lesson, students will be able to describe general characteristics of solids, define melting point and explain its process, determine melting point of an organic compound, define sublimation and explaining its process, describe the arrangement of particles in solids, differentiate between amorphous and crystalline solids, define allotropes, explain arrangement of carbon atoms in diamond, graphite and buckyballs, explain allotropes of sulfur, differentiate between red and white phosphorus, compare the physical states of matter with regard to intermolecular forces present between them. Alright, let's first talk about melting point or freezing point. The melting point of ice and the freezing point of water are exactly the same temperature. Let's see what is the melting point. Melting point is the temperature at which solid changes to liquid, and freezing point on the other hand is the point or the temperature at which the liquid starts changing to solid. So these are the opposite of one another. Melting is the state which is involved in melting point is solid is converting into liquid, whereas exactly opposite change is taking place in freezing point when the liquid is converting back into solid. All right. Processes. Let's discuss processes involved in state conversions. Solid. First, we should be able to classify or define solids. Solids are substances which are characteristic of a definite volume and definite shape, and they have strong intermolecular forces between the atoms, and they are usually hard. And the characteristic properties they have: melting point and freezing point. Melting point refers to converting the state of their solid form to liquid form, as I can show you over here. See, a solid is converting into liquid form. This is melting is taking place, whereas in exactly opposite change which results in conversion from liquid to back to solid form, this is called as freezing. Then if we talk about further conversion, we already have discussed in previous lesson evaporation, about evaporation when liquid is converting into gas form, and when in opposite gas is converting back to liquid, it is condensation. So evaporation and condensation are exactly equivalent, opposite to one another. All right, we will also talk about in this lesson in sublimation. Let's see what exactly sublimation is. Sublimation is when solid is directly converted to gas, means there is no liquid phase, liquid is skipped, so solid is directly converted into gaseous, skipping out the liquid phase. This is called as sublimation. And similarly, when an exact opposite change taking place involving gas back to solid directly, this is deposition or desublimation. We can use both the terms for this, that is deposition or desublimation. So let me summarize this whole chart in front of you again. Solid is when linked with liquid. Two processes are there involved: melting and freezing. When we relate liquid with gas state, the interconversion between liquid and gas, two processes again involved evaporation and condensation. Similarly, when solids are directly related to gas, the two interconversions which are involved are sublimation and deposition. So I hope now I have made this well clear to you all. Alright, let's move to next. Sublimation. Sublimation is the change of state directly from solid to gas. We just discussed that when there is a change from solid to gas, this is called as sublimation, and from gas to solid it is also sublimation or desublimation. You can use both the 2 to 3 different terminologies are used for when converting back from gas to solid. So do not get confused. Just remember that when solid is directly related with gas, either it is from solid to gas or gas to solid, the process involved is sublimation. You may use the term when a backward reaction is taking place from gas to solid. You may use the two other terms, deposition or desublimation as well. For example, if a camphor is or ammonium chloride, there are few chemicals which sublimate. They directly convert from solid to gas. They do not exist in liquid state. So ammonium chloride, when placed in a china dish and it is heated, it changes directly into vapors, and these vapors are cooled and collected at the inner side of this funnel. Let me show you with the help of this diagram. This is ammonium chloride heated over here. As it is heated in china dish, as soon as the molecules get enough kinetic energy, they directly converted into gas state. There is no liquid formation, and these ammonium chloride vapors are collected at the inner side of this funnel, and they are deposited over here, and when they cool down, they once again converted back to solid form. So it is directly converted from solid to gas or gas to solid to gas or gas to solid. All right. Let's talk about types of solids. We have 2 different types of solids. Crystalline solids, when there is highly regular arrangement of the particles, 3D structural arrangement of particles is there. This type of solids, they are called as crystalline solids. As you can see over here, you can see this regular arrangement, 3D arrangement of particles involved over here. They are crystalline solids. Whereas on the other hand, we may also find some solids which do not possess a regularly arranged particles. They just they do not have a fixed shape, like glass, like plastic. They do not have 3D regular arrangement of atoms or particles in them. They are called as amorphous solids. So 2 well-defined classes are there: crystalline solids and amorphous solids. You should be able to differentiate between the 2 types of solids by their name and by their properties as well. Here is a comparison given for you people to learn between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Crystalline solids have a well-defined shape and geometrical form, whereas if we look at amorphous solids, they do not have a definite geometrical arrangement of particles. As they have well-defined shape and well-defined structural arrangement, so they have sharp, definite melting points. Sharp means exact values are there. Whenever you are going to repeat the experiment or multiple students are doing it, they are always going to have a sharp melting point. Similarly, the amorphous solids, on the other hand, they melt over a wide range. They have a range for their melting points. For example, 25 to 35, the melting point between of this plastic, a specific plastic, would be 25 to 35. So this is a range that is involved in amorphous solids. Similarly, if we talk about the rigidity, they are rigid and incompressible, whereas they too are rigid, amorphous, but less than as compared to crystalline solids. So however, graphite is soft because of its unusual structure. We'll talk about graphite later on. We'll discuss that in detail when we'll do allotropy in this lesson. Alright, next property of crystalline solids is that they give a clean cleavage, break into pieces with plane surfaces. Means they have a regular arrangement, angles are well defined, so when breakage will take place, there is a cleavage pattern, there is a specific cleavage pattern that will break that crystal along certain patterns, along certain angles. Whereas amorphous solids, they are not having any shape, they are just roughly arranged, so they will give irregular cleavage. They can be broken from any side, from any angle, into any shape, into any structure. Crystalline solids, they have definite heat of fusion. Amorphous solids, they do not have a definite heat of fusion. This is why, because crystalline solids have a well-defined arrangement of particles is there, so a definite amount of heat is involved to overcome all the intermolecular forces, whereas amorphous solids, they do not have a well-defined arrangement, they do not have a well-defined pattern, they do not have well-defined intermolecular forces, a constant intermolecular forces, so they have they do not have a definite heat of fusion. All right, this is something not exactly related to you, so you are just not going to involve it. You will just do this whole amorphous solid, and these 4 points are more than enough for comparison for you people to learn at the moment. Okay. All right, allotropy is a phenomena of an element to exist in two or more than two physical forms. Means they can be existing in, if an element, one thing important is that we are just dealing at this moment with an element. The more than one physical form of an element is called as allotropy. The property of this is the sub-property of some chemical elements in which they may exist in one or two or more than two forms, in different forms. This is because of different arrangement of atoms, and as a result, the process or the phenomena exhibited by them is allotropy. This may involve different structural modifications of an element and used for elements only. Now, in your course, you people are given with examples for allotropes of 3 different elements: carbon, sulfur and phosphorus. All the allotropes of carbon, sulfur and phosphorus, you need to go through and learn their properties along with the diagrams. You should be able to define them, you should be able to draw them, you should be able to compare their properties as well. So let's first discuss about the allotropes of carbon. All right, allotropes of carbon. Amorphous. One thing before starting allotropes of different elements, we can categorize different allotropes into crystalline forms as well as amorphous forms. Means the allotropes may be of the same element, may be sometimes resulting in a crystalline structure, and the allotropes of the same element sometimes be resulting in amorphous structures, solids. So it should be not very much strange to you people. Both types of solids can be the result of allotropes. Amorphous, small particles of graphite. Among the allotropes of carbon, the amorphous are graphite, and coal, whereas diamond is crystalline allotrope of carbon, a lattice of tetrahedral carbons. Graphite, layered structure of fusion aromatic rings. We'll compare the structure of graphite and carbon in a later diagram. Let's see. This is, remember, in all these forms, amorphous as well as crystalline. The only difference lies in the arrangement of atoms. The arrangement of carbon atoms are different in all these forms, and see, the result is a totally different form. Means you cannot replace graphite with diamond, you cannot replace coal with diamond. Coal has its own value and diamond has its own value, but the only difference between coal and diamond is the arrangement of carbon atoms. The pattern of arrangement in diamond is different, and the pattern of same carbon atoms in coal is different. So see how the arrangement of atoms makes a huge difference between so that such a difference cannot be compensated or cannot be alternated with one another. See, the carbon has two categories, crystalline and amorphous. Crystalline includes diamond and graphite. Graphite is although it's included in crystalline, but sometimes it gives a soft structure, so it can be at the moment it is considered as crystallines, but it can be also sometimes be regarded in amorphous forms because of its lacking of its original structure. Amorphous is coal, any type of carbon black, charcoal, lamp black, all these are common. You can consider them as coal. So allotropes of carbon, see the arrangement of atoms. We discuss the arrangement of atoms in graphite first. Graphite actually shows the hexagonal arrangement of. In graphite there is layered structure of carbon atoms are arranged. Carbon atoms are arranged in layered forms, and you can see that hexagonal arrays are there. Carbon atoms in graphite, carbon atoms you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagonal rays are there, and these hexagonal rays are held by weak forces of attraction. As a result, these rays can slide on one another. If you apply force pressure on one side, these can slide on one another, and as a result they may lose their shape. So weak bonds exist between the layers, and this allows them to slide over one another. This makes graphite soft. Now you people can understand me why I was a little bit reluctant to include it in crystalline form, but still it is considered as a crystalline form of carbon. Alright, let's talk about diamond. See, in diamond it is tetrahedral arrangement of carbon atoms, means one carbon atom is arranged with four other carbon atoms. This is tetrahedral arrangement of carbon atoms is involved in diamond, and this makes diamond the hardest known substance. See, the arrangement matters a lot. How the arrangement of carbon atoms in the form of hexagonal arrays and in the form of hexagonal arrays held by weak intermolecular forces makes it a soft material as in graphite, whereas the tetrahedral arrangement of carbon atoms makes it the hardest known substance, that is diamond. And if we look at the third form, that is buckyballs. This is in buckyballs. This makes in buckyballs 60 carbon atoms are involved. In this structure 60 carbon atoms are involved, and they are arranged in the form of a hollow sphere. Excuse me. They are arranged in the form of hollow sphere. Carbon atoms are arranged as in the form of pentagons or hexagons, just like a saucer ball. Have you ever seen a saucer ball? You can see this is giving you a touch of a look like a ball, and all are still carbon atoms, and this happens in buckyballs. So the different forms of an element in the same physical state, these are called as allotropes. All these are the allotropes of carbon, and you can see that how the arrangement of atoms matter a lot, and this changes the whole this results in changing the whole properties of that substance. Graphite is a good conductor of heat and electricity because of its weak intermolecular forces. Sliding the layers can slide on one another, and this helps them to conduct electricity. Diamond is a poor conductor of heat and electricity, although it is also made up of same carbon element, but the arrangement does not allow it to conduct any heat and electricity. And similarly with the buckyballs. So the properties are defined by the arrangement of atoms actually in all these structures. All right, let's talk about allotropes of phosphorus now. We have two allotropes of phosphorus, white phosphorus and red phosphorus. These white phosphorus is when it is consisting of a tetraatomic molecules P4 which are not bonded to one another. If you see, let me show you the structure of white phosphorus. Only tetraatomic molecules of P4 are there, but they are not bonded. They are not this P4 in white phosphorus. The P4 is not a chain structure, whereas red phosphorus, you can see the molecules are bonded with one another. The P4 molecules, they are bonded with one another, and as a result this chain continues. They form a long chain structure, and they are called as, and as a result it appears to this, due to this arrangement, the long chain arrangement, this phosphorus appears to be red, and as a result it is called as red phosphorus. Allotropes of sulfur. Once again, let's the allotropes of sulfur are categorized in both forms, crystalline as well as amorphous forms. In crystalline we have rhombic and monoclinic sulfur, whereas in amorphous we have plastic, colloidal or milk of sulfur. Different, so it means the sulfur allotropes are present in both forms of solids, crystalline as well as amorphous. In amorphous we have plastic sulfur, which is important for you people to learn as according to your book, whereas you can see in crystalline we have rhombic sulfur as well as monoclinic sulfur. Rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur in both are having crystalline definite arrangement of atoms. In rhombic, the crystals are composed of acid molecules, whereas in monoclinic, needle-like crystals are formed due to the specific arrangement of sulfur molecules in the form of needle-like structures. So this is all about allotropes of sulfur. You just need to learn the classification, that how crystalline forms are there and how which amorphous forms are there. All right, last topic of this lesson, comparing 5.7, comparison between of the physical states of matter. It's also the summary of the whole chapter we just discussed. Let's quickly go through it. First, the volume. Let's compare in solids. Definite volume, as intermolecular forces between them are strong enough. Liquids also have definite volumes, but they may occupy the volume of the container. Similarly, gases, they are not having the definite volume, as intermolecular forces between them are very weak. Diffusion is Solids can diffuse into liquids wherever they will find a space, they will diffuse. Liquids diffusion is higher than solids, whereas gases, as the molecules are in diffusion, actually depends on the random movement of particles. So gases have the highest, or you may say that they have the particles randomly at high speed, moving at high speed, so they have the highest rate of diffusion. Compressibility. Solids cannot be compressed as they don't have intermolecular spaces. Liquids cannot be compressed as they don't have intermolecular spaces, whereas gases can be compressed because they have large intermolecular spaces between them. Rigidity or fluidity. Very rigid solids are rigid, liquids are less rigid. No rigidity can flow most, and so gases are not rigid. Density, if you compare, density is high in solids, moderate in liquids, whereas gases are less dense. Similarly, we can also compare the shapes. The solids have definite shape, whereas liquids lack definite shape, and gases also do not have definite shape. Kinetic energy given at given temperature, least energy is there with solids. They vibrate at their fixed positions, whereas liquids, they have higher energy as compared to solids, high kinetic energy. And gases, they have maximum energy because they are moving randomly. Interparticular spaces. Solids have least spaces, liquids have lesser spaces, and gases have large spaces. And interparticle force of attraction means the forces of attraction between them. Solids are very strong attraction forces, whereas liquids have less strong, and the gases have weak intermolecular forces. Arrangement of the particles. Solids have well-defined arrangement of particles. Liquids have packed weak in comparison. They have also well-defined arrangement, but less or weak as compared to solids. And gases have poor arrangement. They do not have a fixed arrangement of particles. So this was all about the comparison between solid, liquid, and gases. Alright, let's have a quick recap of lesson for week 7. We discussed the characteristic properties of solids such as melting, freezing, melting point, freezing point, and sublimation. And we also talked about the states involved in their interconversions. We defined sublimation and desublimation phenomena with example. We discussed ammonium chloride example. The other examples include dry ice is a good example. Naphthalene is an example of sublimation. All right, examples. Then we differentiated between two types of solids with examples crystalline and amorphous solids. We discussed allotropic forms of carbon, phosphorus, and sulfur. Carbon allotropic forms include graphite, diamond, and buckyballs. We also talked about the arrangement of their atoms in each form and their properties as well, which are affected by this arrangement. We discussed two allotropic forms of phosphorus, white phosphorus and red phosphorus, and why they appear to be white and red. We discussed the arrangement of atoms as well. Similarly, we talked about three allotropic forms of sulfurs. Out of them, two are crystalline, rhombic, and monoclinic, and the third is plastic sulfur, which is amorphous form of sulfur. Then this was all about today's lesson. Now what to do next? You should access to the resource folder to extend your learning outcomes. Various links have been given to you. You can click on those links and you can help yourself to extend your learning outcomes. Then you should complete the given written assignments. You should revise the content and learn the key concepts. Stay home, stay safe, and all the best for the moment. Take care. Allah Hafiz.